Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Tina Ducharme, and this is the Crossed Over Celebrity channel. On this channel, I take a celebrity who's crossed over to the other side and channel their energy, bring through some messages, go through their soul contracts with them, pointing out experiences that they had in their lives and how it played out for them. And then we're going to pull some oracle cards and get any final messages that they want to bring through. So again, my name is Tina Ducharme. My website is thealignmentkeys.net. I'll put it in the description box below if you're interested in learning more about me and about the services that I provide. I also will put an introductory video, like I always do in the description box, which talks about the soul contract, the history behind it, how I put the charts together so that I don't have to explain it every time in these videos, because we want to get right to what we came here to talk about today. And so we are bringing through the gambler, Kenny Rogers, who crossed over last year in 2020. And he came through, and he's a very, not paternal, very, he appears to me, and when he came through, his energy is a very sensitive energy, and we'll talk about that in his chart. And he came through, he's super just sweet, humble, and he also looks a lot, you know, before his surgeries and things like that, you know, he looks again more like his middle age is how I'm seeing him come through. And he was very open and honest about talking about all his relationships with me. And I really enjoyed listening and asking questions over the last several days. So before we get too deep into this, let me share my screen, please, and I'll bring you up his soul contract chart. So this is his birth name. All of our soul contracts are based on our birth name, at least the main contract that plays out with us during our lives. Now, he went by Kenny Rogers. That also has its own set of vibrations, but I like to go through the birth chart because it really is the key components that play out for us. And I can see a lot of what was going on with Mr. Rogers here right in his chart right off the bat. So let's get into it. Now, he was a big country music star. Oh, he lasted 50, 60 years in the business. And really, if for me to go back and even listen to some of his music, he's one of the few artists that can really make me cry. This was somebody who really can connect emotionally. We'll talk about that, where that stems from in his chart, and really works through that heart. And I tell you, I listened to a few songs this morning as I was connecting with them, and he triggered, I was literally was waterworks going on. So yeah, he knows that was a real gift of his, and will explain as I get more into his chart about that. He sold like 165 plus million albums, really, again, built this great structure of truth in his music, was very important to him. And we'll talk about why that was. He had 5 marriages, 5 children. We're going to talk about how that ties into his chart as well. And this great capacity to also collaborate. He had this great collaboration skills and collaborated. Many stars wrote songs for him, like Lionel Richie. And he wrote songs for Kim Carnes, and he had all these great people that he did duets with. And we're going to also talk a little bit about unrequited love, because that played out for him also when we see these 8s, and he was a dominant 8 in his karma, which is our opportunities for growth. And so what's going to happen with that is you're going to get a lot of these, what most people would consider negative opportunities to engage with certain feelings and transmute them to their positive forms. And so when I talk about unrequited love, is people with karmic 8s have this idea of love, of what love is in their mind, what they struggle with initially. And if they're learning their lessons, that I think Kenny did very well. And when I had a brief discussion, he did say that that was something he struggled with, and why a lot of his initial marriages failed was about getting into that emotional body. Because to have this real long-lasting relationship with somebody, you really have to have this emotional connection. And he would struggle with that, and that was by design in his chart. So again, welcome, Kenny. Thank you for being here. So I have a few notes here. I want to make sure that I don't miss out on anything as we were channeling this morning. I wrote some things down, so I want to make sure I don't forget them. So when we see these, because he had this double number here, these 8s, he was a dominant vibration, a 7 and an 8 in his chart. So again, when you see a lot of these double numbers in a person's chart, they can get a little bit stuck in life at times, because it doesn't give them a lot of numbers to play off. And because he had a lot of these dominant numbers here, he even had less numbers. The more numbers we have, the more energies we have to pull from. This obviously did not hold him back in this life, because he really had great talents. And he really came here with some very specific things to accomplish, which I feel he did a really great job while he was here in overcoming those karmic obstacles and reaching his physical goals and working on his spiritual goals. So, okay, so what I see with those karmic 8s, again, is this is a soul who had issues acclimating themselves in society in the past. So he really came here, was part of his mission to connect at emotional level with society. And and so this could have been somebody, I think we had talked in a past life, this was somebody who could have committed suicide. That sounded like that was some type of an ancestral patterning going on in his background. And so again, that's why the double, you know, the specific one number he wanted to play out in karma was to really acclimate himself into society. He wanted to be, he was going to be exposed to a lot of things emotionally in a human capacity here, because it was all about him getting into the emotions in his body, getting it from the mental body. Sometimes we think we know how we feel, but then we really having to get to how we are really feeling in the body. He was here to learn how to be sensitive, paternal, protective, and to be able to really clearly see his future and put that into his purpose, being able to clearly see his vision and manifest it physically here. So he would initially have problems reaching out and connecting, as I said, emotionally with people, sharing with others. You know, I think he had mentioned in some interviews I watched about not being as good of a father, being very absent, you know, initially when he was younger, and then he became a much better father as he got more into his emotions and learned how to reach out and share with others. So as I talked about, this unrequited model goes with the 8s, where they have this idea in their mind of how they think love should be, but they have trouble manifesting it. And he was very open about this soulmate connection he had with Dolly Parton. That was part of an unrequited love model that was playing out for him. And that was meant to challenge him, because he really did want a relationship with her that never manifested in the way that he wanted, because that's what all of this unrequited love model is all about. It never quite pans out the way you think it should be. But and then they have trouble letting go of that. So he learned through his relationships to really start to learn to let go of those really heavy energies and come into his body emotionally and connect. And I think you can see that through his music. Now, our nines are our talents here. He has a 9 here in his physical talents and 7 in his spiritual talents. Now, the 9s being the most powerful number, he had great talents here. Give him this extreme creative. He was born on the cusp of the Leo Virgo. Leo, of course, being all of this star energy, look at me, and then Virgo, a little bit of that perfectionism in his work. You talked about that too, and also about his being married to his work, committing to his work and not his relationships, right? So again, this 9 here, he was fortunate to have that in his talents because that just amplified his star potential. This is great, strong energy. Some people can have issues with people with 9s because they can be so powerful, but he had this softer, more sensitive energy, I think, which really helped to mitigate some of that overpowering sense of the 9s that people can exude out in their energy fields. So this gave him a great sense of his intuitive, a great sense of self. So he would build on that. It makes you a great channel where you're truly channeling from source. And again, I think in his music, he had a lot of love songs and things like that. He was doing maybe not, he would pick songs that really resonated with him because he was this great collaborator. And he didn't write a lot of his own songs, but he knew which ones would work well for his energy and how he could present it to others in that emotional capacity. So the song, The Gambler, that was really what he was all about, right? He identified with the gambler. He played the gambler persona that comes in with the 7s. He's got 7s here, a double 7, which is also about, they make great actors because they can hide their true selves and in other personas and show you a side to them that they think you want to see. And he kind of did that through that gambler persona as well. But remember, the gambler, it's all about, the song of the gambler is all about knowing when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. So it's all about knowing and intuition. And he had this great sense, whether he maybe at times was conscious of it or not conscious of it, because I think his book that he wrote talked a little bit about luck. Well, I guess if you have 4 7s in your chart, that might be bringing you some, what we would consider luck, but it's never luck. It's really about our sense of self and what we're bringing to us and what we can manifest in our lives. I do have some incense burning here. So if you see that kind of coming through. So again, 9s, very, very powerful energy. He also had these 7s, which is all about, he's got these emotional, 8s are Cancer, watery energy, very sensitive, but the 7s would give him a sense of objectivity. They would give him this great decisiveness energy. Doesn't mean that he succeeded at everything he did or that he followed his intuition. He wasn't successful at everything. No one is, because these patterns that the numbers are driving will pull to you not just the positive, but as we said, the negative as well, because it's all about us learning to overcome, recognize what is working for us, getting out of our egos, which tends to want to keep us small and keep us safe in a very, but keep us from expanding. So the 7s are another excellent talent for these 8s here because it gives him much more objectivity. 7s are also about healing the heart, and they're about action and communication. He was a great communicator. And you can obviously with his music. So he His sevens are also about bringing people together and uniting them. And so that was, you bring people together through your concerts, you facilitate groups. As we talked about, he was a great collaborator and worked with a lot of other artists. Excuse me. And then, so then he was drawing off of that. Sevens, having this many sevens makes him extremely magnetic, a party animal as well. So he would be very gregarious, and people are very, very drawn to him. So like I said, he worked with a lot of successful people. So he was all about uniting people. So he worked with like Dolly, Michael Jackson, Dottie West, Sheena Easton, BJ Thomas, Lionel Richie, like I said. So, and the 7 in spiritual goals is, of course, bringing people together and catalyzing them. So he makes you feel things, and it's a very catalyzing thing for people to feel all of those emotions. I thought it was very interesting too that one of his first famous songs was Lucille. His mom's name was Lucille, and that was one of his first like big hits. So it had a lot of ancestral things going on there with him that he definitely related to. And so I talked about, again, so we do want to talk about his physical goals, because that 11-2 is all about building a structure, whether it's a physical business or a structure of truth. We can say that he built many things. He built Beaver Dam in Athens, Georgia, which was this wonderful, beautiful place with a golf course and horses. He also tend to really love animals and relate better to animals than people. And so he had all these wonderful things that he did build physically and at somewhat of a spiritual level with the music, as we've been kind of talking about his songs and how they were love songs, and they really talked about people and struggles, and really got to he could really emotionally connect with you, and you could emotionally connect with a song. And so again, this 11-2 is all about 11s are tied in with Venus and beauty. He was a very handsome man, very beautiful. Beauty was very important to him. So he built these very, when he did build a home, it was very much beautiful. His wives were very beautiful. And so that was all tied in with that 11. The 2 is all about the moon energy, and it's all about these great highs and lows and mitigating your emotions. So he was to become very emotionally resilient and wise as well. And that was part of one of his goals, which, he was not very, even when his ex-wives talk about him, there's not a lot of negativity there. This was somebody who was very emotionally resilient, who took ownership of his failures and not being able to connect and maintaining relationships, which was again part of those karmic 8s, which could be a struggle for him throughout his life. So then that 11-2 was really also about perceiving things from different perspectives and gaining new perspectives through his experiences here. And the 11 and the 2 are tied to the left and the right eye, and it's about seeing things as they really are, and another visionary seeing things in the future. And I thought it was very interesting that when he did have surgery, plastic surgery, he had his eyes done, and it really changed his appearance. So I thought that was very unusual, again, tied to that 11-2 cycles and that Venus moon energy coming out there. This, like I said, it was tied to that beauty. And so, but it did, like I said, change his appearance. And that was very interesting. It made him very much eyes wide open. And I wondered, when I was talking to him, it was kind of like this change in consciousness for him, which actually was a changing of his appearance, whether you like that or didn't like that. It was really about this change he was going through. And of course, his fives in his soul destiny was really, fives are tied to truth, was very important to Kenny. Speaking the truth, understanding the truth. Fives are all about intangibles though. So it comes again into the spiritual kind of etheric meanings of life and really kind of seeing beyond the illusions. And he's saying that took him most of his life to really, I use the term, really understanding fives and soul destiny about learning about your multidimensional nature. Now we didn't he wasn't accustomed to those types of terminologies and things, that's getting more mainstream now, but that's not something he said he would have used that term multidimensionality, but he did really was starting to open up his mind to a lot of different ideas and understanding that there was a lot of different truths. And so that really was part of what all of these experiences in this lifetime was to give him, those additional ways of looking at things per se. So he did a great job. Everybody has their ups and downs, and that's all perception as to whether you think what is good, bad, or otherwise. And so he doesn't have any regrets. Everything is, as we're saying it, the coming into his emotional body, really learning how to connect emotionally. He had even though he had 5 marriages, remember he's got these 5 marriages, 5 children. That was all about him learning those things and how to give and share of himself in an emotional capacity. And he was married to, I think his last wife's name was Wanda, for over 20 years. So he did, struggle with commitment. He did learn how to commit, how to emotionally connect, how to really touch not just the people in his inner circle, but everybody around him. And I think he did just an absolute wonderful job of that. I give him all the credit in the world. Nothing is ever easy for anyone, even when you have a lot of money. You still have, like, he's had a lot of, his record deals. He ended up signing a deal. I can't remember which record company, but he had to put out so many, like 5 albums, which again tied to that five albums, and then they would do like a greatest hits album. So and he had to do that every year. So it was he could reach out and connect to people to get collaboration. So he had a lot of help, and he knew how to use it, that help. So, but again, there's a lot of pressure with that, and a lot of struggle. And so he had to go from, learning how to let things go and move forward and, find the joy in life amongst all of that pressure. Even though you get a lot of money, you still have a lot of these expectations on you. So, people who are famous, they deal with other issues. Money may not be a huge issue, but other things are, as their privacy, or really being able to stay relevant and things, and learning how to value themselves and not needing to seek that validation from others. And so he said, when I was connecting with his energy, he said he understood the competitiveness of it without feeling his ego needing to be number one, knowing that he was a winner, that people like different kinds of music, and that's okay. And he was, the 5s in his soul destiny are also all about pioneer energies, because he was really tinkering with kind of his own style of music, I put it, because it wasn't just country and it wasn't pop. It was kind of like, it really resonated with people on both sides of those genres. So he was kind of creating his own, the 11-2s are about building your own structure of truth, because people with 11-2s, they come in with kind of this open container. And so they're here to kind of build on their lessons in life and then build their own. They're not meant to do what somebody else is doing. And so probably for him, he said the creative piece, not getting hard, being too commercialized, trying to stay with what was his truth. And so that is the hardest part, because the fives are tied to your speech, your truth. And he did end up writing a biography. I've not read it. I have not read it. So, but the fives tend to be these great writers, and they need to ground their truth. So that would have been a very cathartic exercise for him and very healing. Fives also need they need their own space. Sevens are also can be very much about going up and meditating in the mountains by themselves. So this would be, like I said, he was a super sensitive soul because he had eights. The 11, 2 is a very sensitive number as well. And then he had the fives, and fives are very psychic people. They really can see a lot, and it can be very disturbing at times. So anyhow, we do want to get to pulling some oracle cards. So he's telling me sacred geometry is always a little bit of a interest of his that may not be known by people. So he wants me to pull a card here. Yes, I have little hands and these cards are kind of big. So and so I also wants me to note that eights and fives are really sensitive to negativity, and he struggled a little bit with depression at times. And so even though people, you think they have everything, they still are subject to the vibrations of these numbers. And so what is coming out, the first sacred geometry card is number 9, and it's allowance. And so this is 9, which is tied to his talents, but 8s also are about learning how to reach out and receive. So the frequency of allowance invites us to be open to whatever comes our way, without judgment, without opinion, without fear, and without resistance. When we allow, the universe becomes our partner in the wondrous dance of existence and expansion. Beautiful message, and that really makes sense with his allowing things to happen and unfold for him. 9s can have a resistance, and they have to be very aware of that. If you have 9s and you're feeling that resistance, to really go deeper, and there's a lot of techniques that you can use to realign and to let go of that resistance. You know, he did end up dying of cancer. Part of that he's saying is tied to, again, resistance. You know, he died at 81, which adds up to 9. 9s are all about endings. And I'm not saying, oh, he would have lived another 100 years or whatever. You know, we all have exit points in our life, and we all have this, you know, he's lived a pretty good life. He's not complaining about anything. And a lot of times when we manifest things like cancer, it's just that last chance to really dig deep and to really have that experience, because when we reincarnate and we bring all our experiences with us, even though we have that amnesia, you know, the game of life here put on us, we do carry it at a deep subconscious level. So it makes us more compassionate and understanding to have gone through that. And it gets us to go even deeper into our emotional body. And that was something that he wanted to do here. So he's drawing me to the sacred destiny. Oops, and one popped out. Oh, and I got cards mixed up here. Okay, so what came out was solitude. So that's the card that jumped out right away. That's beautiful. Look at the moon, his moon from the 11-2s over the lake. Lakes will represent that emotion that I was talking about. And he's on the boat by himself, just contemplating in solitude, and how important that is to get away and be able to, what he is saying that is so important is that detaching, letting go. You know, we have these mental bodies that run in our minds of something that someone said to us or something. And these old patterns are what keeps manifesting the same things. He loved to go into solitude and to be able to re-energize himself. And then he would have his new vision and his new ideas, and he would reach out to other people and start collaboration based on the new energy that he was getting from learning to recharge himself. He didn't always do that. Like I said, it was a learning experience, but he's saying how important that is, and he wants to get that message out to everyone. So I have Work Your Light Magic next. And then this is a very interesting card. It's the Mintakan. I can't even say it, I don't think, right. And so this is from the Work Your Light Oracle. And what this is longing for home, belonging, the original light workers. So like I said, Kenny came here. He must have been part of the original light workers group, which is why this is coming up. So we're going to read out of this book by Rebecca Campbell. I'll put everything that I pull in the description box below. I've not had a famous person pull out an actual transmission cards, they're called. So the Mintakans, 116. So, and this is all about that belonging, right? He was having trouble acclimating when he incarnated here before. He didn't feel like he belonged. And so he came back here to overcome that, to really, really put himself into society, emotionally connect. 11-2s are all about leaving a 11-2s, let me see, it's all about creating a mark in society as well, and leaving a lasting impression on people's lives. So Mintakans are a soul group who originated on a planet in the constellation Orion. They were the first star beings to travel to Earth and believed to be the original light workers. The Mintakans' home planet is thought to have been a water world with water so pure that you could see through it for miles. For this reason, Mintakans feel most at peace and at home when in or around crystal clear water. So again, this came up, solitude, allowance. If you can see the picture in here, there's all this water in the background. When he built his home in Athens, Georgia, there was so many water. He said in an interview that when he was younger and that he was very much raised in the projects in Georgia, or was it Georgia or Texas? I can't remember, sorry. And he would go out and walk through the rich people's area and watch the sprinklers come on. And he loved that. He said to himself, he remembers saying that I am going to have that someday. And so when he built this beautiful place in Athens, Georgia, which reminds me of Athens of Greece, of course, so he is an old soul, but he had all these water on the property and all of these golf course as well. And so all of these sprinklers, and he would say he would just love to go out in the morning and just watch them. That's part of that solitude, right? That recharging, and water is really important to them. So they're here to teach us to see the potential in everything and the light in all beings. Many Mintakans have an odd longing for home and struggle with feeling like they don't belong. It is thought that this is due to their home planet no longer in existence. If you pulled this card, it could mean that you are a Mintakan or are longing for a sense of belonging, and root chakra healing is necessary for you to feel secure and safe. Perhaps you feel this longing to find home without knowing where that is. Perhaps you've been moving around a lot and yearn for a place on earth to call your own. If so, you are being called to connect with Mother Earth and create it for yourself now. To choose where you feel most at home and create it rather than waiting for the feeling of belonging to come. Okay, so we're going to have our first little session here. So This is a first healing session, so a lot of original light workers out there. So please repeat after me. I allow myself to be truly here and at home on this planet. I release any grief around not belonging or feeling held and call in the perfect home. I will put that in the description. So box below. Thank you, Kenny, for that wonderful message. Now we're going to go to the animals because he loved animals, horses. I was a horse person myself, as I probably have mentioned before. I had raised horses for 30 years. I don't have any of my own right now, but someday I'll get some more again. I'm still looking for my home where I belong. Okay, Kenny, what else would you like to share? Oops. So we're going to shuffle these a little bit more. Okay. Koala spirit, I love this. Number 35, which adds up to 8. And this is all about spirit has a plan. Isn't that beautiful? That, to me, this animal really epitomizes Kenny Rogers' energy, this kind of cuddly, soft, just really magical type of a being. Really just beautiful. I am going to read what this has to say about that a little deeper. So, in nature, the koala moves slowly through the branches of the eucalyptus tree, leisurely chewing the leaves, reminding us that life is not a race or a competition. Chasing around after every distraction can keep us from recognizing that we have all we need and that spirit will always be there with gifts to sustain us. You are being asked to trust that by moving slowly with faith in the abundance that is everywhere, surrendering to a power greater than yourself, you will be able to experience the manifestation of your desire. As you take your time enjoying the riches available to you right now, sitting peacefully, you begin to radiate the joy and abundance you seek. Spirit is here to help you discover happiness, pleasure, and contentment, all gifts that are yours now and in the future. Have faith and trust in Spirit's plan for you. Know that you are loved and cherished. Kenny's sending you his love. He had a wonderful life and he's so grateful. I just almost cried when I first connected. I felt so much love, and not taking away anything from his wives, that the love that came through for his son Dolly was literally made me cry. It was so beautiful. That was a real true testament to their relationship, their friendship throughout the years. So we have this beautiful card coming through, number 4, higher power. That's a beautiful, beautiful energy. And you can see it, the key. I have to show that to you because that key in the mind, that is the key. Your pineal gland is in here, and connecting through channeling, through my alignment key is, I understand the concept of how alignment with source, with that greater power, if you can think of it like we're the toaster and you plug the toaster into the outlet, connecting to that greater power than ourselves is what really gives us that ability. This is, you can see this person down here, and then this is kind of like their higher self. And then the key is the connecting to even the big, greater power. Very interesting. And there's wings and all of this gold magic that happens up there. very, very beautiful, beautiful card. And it's all about connecting, using your third mind, connecting to the heart, because he had sevens, all about that mind heart connection, but then exploding up through to get that true alignment. That is where true intuition comes from. So we are going to go to the Archangel Metatron Self-Mastery deck for a final message. Final message before we get to the mantra here. So we have another 9 card come out, and the number 4 is really all about balance. So balancing that out. Now here's a 9 that came through again, and this is movement is needed, action. So we're coming through this right now through December, you know, or I mean, it doesn't matter necessarily when you see this, you know, the time is action, movement, and that can be physically or making a decision. But let's read what I work with the energies of Archangel Metatron. I call them the M team: Metatron, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, and Archangel Michael are the 4 M's that I work with their energy quite frequently. And so 9 is supported by the energy of Mars, planet of action and dynamic movement. So successful completion of anything worthwhile belies the fact that much work, effort, triumph, and setback has likely gone into its making. Whatever you are asked to do, be, or try at this time needs to start not just with a thought, but with action. Action, however small, needs to follow thought. It's the law of the universe and the way anything is created. So often you stall, waiting for the perfect condition to begin, and yet why wait? Tomorrow may never come. You only have today to live, so live it now. Don't put up any longer that which you wish to do. Any step towards the goal you seek at this time is correct. There are no wrong paths to take. Any mistake to be made is part of the learning process, and every achievement is acquired to spur you on. To succeed is also to fail. A baby has to fall many times before it learns to walk, and so too you must be prepared for a path that may not always be smooth, but always has an assured positive outcome as long as commitment, dedication are observed. A runner running a race has to put in many hours of training, focus, and life changes to pass the winning post. It all started with one step forward and kept on going. Be not afraid of setting your goals high, dreaming big, and of striving to be the best you can be. Archangel Metatron will sometimes push you, will sometimes encourage you, and at other times will stand back to see if you can keep going under your own steam, but he will never abandon you. To be active also means to be healthy. Seek fresh air, sunlight, and a body that serves you well. Feel Metatron close to you. Visualize and imagine and feel his light alongside you, helping you strive for more, to be in the best shape, and to achieve all that you came here to do. But it starts with movement and often steps away from comfort zone into uncharted areas. Move, walk, run, write, play, create, live. It's why you are here. Do it today. Oh, thanks, Kenny. He said, okay, I'll get off a soapbox now. Him and Archangel Metatron, they're like, go, go, go. They know how difficult it can be. So Archangel Metatron is one of the few archangels who's actually has experienced the earth plane. So they understand how difficult being here can be. So I preach self-love and being kind to yourself and not falling into that negative self-talk because you didn't do something that you maybe thought you should do today. So And so this is a wonderful mantra to end this reading with Kenny, as his karmic aspects were about emotionally coming into the body and grounding his energy. So this card that came up from the Matt Kahn Healing Mantra deck was all about grounding, how you ground your energy. And the mantra is, it is safe to be in my body. It is safe to be in my body. It is safe to be in my body. So I always say mantras 3 times, say that a lot. In threes, yeah, it's just something I've always done, but we're gonna go in here. And so this is about grounding, which is something that is so important, because if you're not grounded, you can't manifest it physically. It just stays up in the ethers. And so Kenny's saying it's really important to learn that grounding piece. So when your energy is grounded, you are no longer wrestling with the pain of the past or chasing after potential future outcomes. You dare to demonstrate your very best attributes and qualities, no matter how you are perceived or received by others. With your energy grounded, your mind can relax as your body becomes a more enjoyable environment to inhabit. This mantra is ideal for replacing compulsive thoughts, releasing addictive behavior, and finding stability. It is safe to be in my body. It is safe to be in my body. It is safe to be in my body. Oh, thank you. That was so wonderful. Thank you. Big thank you to Kenny Rogers for collaborating with me through this channeling exercise. I'm asking him if he has anything he wants to say. Please thank everybody, whether they listen to his music or not. He's so grateful for the life that he had here. He's still doing work on the other side through his ancestral line. And he wants you to know that we're all here. We're all in this together. We have we are more alike and are more connected than we are separate, even though there seems to be this illusion of separateness right now. We all belong here. And we can all manifest the life that we choose to manifest. Thank you. And he's sending much love to his fans and his family and his friends, and to Dolly. With that, I'm going to say goodbye. Please, if you like this video, please hit like, subscribe. It's free. Join the club. And I'm trying to put out more videos connecting with celebrities so I can give people exposure to the soul contract and what that can do by knowing it, what it can do for you and how you can learn to understand it. It's another tool we've been given to help us to manifest the things we want in our life and to realign with our purpose. So thank you for being here. I'm sending you much love. Take care.